All right, welcome everybody who
Boom.
is watching tonight. Tonight is something, the 15th, Monday, 10 p.m. here, 7 there where you
My
are.
stuff is on do not disturb sleep mode here.
I had to do that to mine so it wouldn't
Yeah.
get no beeps or
15th, yeah.
distractions.
It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yep, holiday pay.
At the risk of going off topic, I was reading that there was a court case back in '99 that determined that the FBI and the CIA were involved in his death. I was not aware of that.
I've
Interesting.
heard that. I didn't know they actually made it official news or not, but I have heard that.
It's never going to make official news, but
Oh, of course
anyway.
not. So tonight, the Book of Enoch. And since you have more experience
hmm
with this, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one tonight. So go ahead and let's start out with what that book is.
Let me get this thing pulled up that I just had and lost. All right. So, the Book of Enoch, also known as 1 Enoch, was once cherished by Jews and Christians alike. The book later fell into disfavor with powerful theologians precisely because of its controversial statements on the nature and deeds of the fallen angels. The Enochian writings, that's a weird word to say, in addition to many other writings, were excluded or lost from the Bible, i.e., the Book of Tobit, Esdras, etc., are widely recognized by many of the early church fathers as the apocryphal writings. That was the word I was looking for last time. The term apocrypha is derived from the Greek word meaning hidden or secret. Originally, the import of the term may have been complementary in that term when applied to sacred books, but the contents were when the contents were too exalted to be made available to the public. So that used to be a compliment. Like it was, yeah, this book is too good for you guys. Now it's like,
Mm,
nah, you can't read this book because it's telling you too much stuff. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but
right. And now, who was Enoch?
Enoch was he was the son of Methuselah. Good lord. All right, let me just double check my work there to
I
make
tried
sure I
looking
got
it
that
up,
right.
but apparently there's two different interpretations of Enoch. One being the son of Cain, the other one being somebody else's. I couldn't find a definitive answer.
I think he's actually the grandson of Methuselah, but
The grandfather of Noah, supposedly.
mm-hmm. Oh no, okay. Enoch was the father of Methuselah. Oh, good lord.
Ah, well, you had the name right.
Interesting. Interesting. Got this backwards. So
Very
at the end of
interesting.
the book, he talks about it is that. So he talks to his son Methuselah. He comes in and part of it is interpreting the dreams of Enoch. So he would come to I'm assuming I believe what is his deathbed, and he would write down, "Hey, this is what I dreamt about." And it's nuts towards the end, but it's really hard to understand and written in really again cryptic dream type language.
Yeah.
But let me get back to where I was doing here. So the Book of Enoch is a complex and multifaceted text. So summarizing it is quite difficult. The whole book to do it. But the main sections are the Book of Watchers. This section tells the story of the fallen angels known as the Watchers, who cohabited with human women and fathered the Nephilim,
Mm-hmm.
which are considered giants. It details the corruption of humanity and the ultimate punishment through the Great Flood. It talks about essentially, like it says in the beginning of the Bible, they were watching the Earthlings and then decided that the Earthling females were attractive to them and they wanted to take wives for themselves, came down. And not only did they take wives for themselves, they taught humans apparently warfare. They taught them metalworking. They taught their wives. So this is an interesting part that coincided with the Immortality Key book I was reading, is that they taught the females how to work with different herbs and make different, medical concoctions. And that's really interesting because again,
Mm-hmm.
that coincides with what the historical evidence shows from the Immortality Key book. It's
It
interesting
does make
though.
more sense that we were taught that than going through all the trial and error of just taking random plants and making herbs out of it. I mean, how would you even know how to
No,
start?
yeah, that's what it comes back to. Is they're showing evidence of these psychedelic infused, what do they call them, graveyard beers and graveyard wines. talking about communicating with the elders or their dead relatives,
Mm.
and it's fascinating. Like, how do you learn that? How do you learn to make a brew that's infused with something like that? You know what I mean? Do you stumble upon that by accident? Like, how do you
Yeah.
learn brewing a beer? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
how did people just magically learn agriculture? Like,
Yeah. It's
it's it's
like with
sprung up
coffee.
out of nowhere.
Where to get the idea to take coffee beans, roast them, and filter water through it? I mean, how did they even come up with stuff like that?
Right.
Mm.
That's another thing. I mean, there's a laundry list of things that have come up that just sprung up out of nowhere. Um, and I was actually reading that beer actually predates agriculture. That's funny.
Like, was it mead that the Vikings drank back in the day, which is like an alcohol? That was
Yeah, do you
interesting
know
though.
mead is fermented honey, bro?
I've heard it tastes really good. I need to find somewhere that I can get some.
I don't know. I think they have it at random places, but
You know, it crossed my mind the other day. Just a little off topic. Like as far as agriculture goes, we go to the supermarket for everything for produce. I mean, people can grow it, but have you ever in the wild come across tomatoes growing or lettuce or cabbage growing anywhere in the wild?
nope. I think about that often, as well as corn, like potatoes. Um, that is the stuff that trips me out. That when I think about, I used to think about all the time when I smoke the weed. But
You can't just walk
um,
into the forest and pick it. It's only grown commercially now.
nope. And the only explanation I've ever heard for, like, I think when I don't remember which, I think it's there's a certain type of thing that we eat all the time that they cannot find the origin of. Like, they believe they were trying to come up with theories that it came from the stars on a comet somehow.
Mm.
Um, but again, you look into the Sumerian texts and all that, they talk about exactly where this stuff came from. They brought it in, taught us how to freaking grow it for them.
So when they seeded the earth, they actually brought that stuff with them, which
Mm-hmm.
is interesting. I have heard a theory someone mentioned is called 0 point or something of that nature. Like if you go to some random island in the middle of the ocean, there's ants on it, and how did the ants get there? And that's part of 0 point theory is that they were just there.
Mm. Yeah, that's trippy. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't know.
Did they
The
cross the ocean?
universe is a crazy spot. You know what I mean? Did they, could it be underground that deep? Like, it's hard to say.
It is. Now, back on the Book of Enoch, I got some information here as well. So supposedly, he was taken to heaven. I know you talked about maybe like in a dream state. It doesn't say he was physically taken, but he was
Mm-hmm.
shown the seven heavens. I'm gonna kind of break that down here. Now, the first heaven here, it says Enoch encounters the winds that control the sun and stars and observes the clouds forming the earth. He witnessed the path of angels who oversee earthly phenomena like snow, rain, and thunder. At the edge of this heaven, he says this heaven, he sees the firmament above, separating the earthly realm from the celestial spheres. Now, could that also be considered a veil, separating dimensions as well?
Mm-hmm.
Second heaven describes as a dark and terrifying prison for fallen angels, chained for their transgressions. Enoch sees fire and ice tormenting these angels, and learns their punishment will last for 10,000 years. Now, is that 10,000 of our years or of heaven's years? Now, this
Who
experience
knows?
emphasizes that consequences of disobeying God and straying from the righteous path. Third heaven, Enoch witnesses two contrasting realms: paradise, a beautiful garden guarded by angels, and a pit of fire for wicked men. This stark contrast portrays the reward for righteousness and the consequences of sin, both in their immediate and eternal form. Here, Enoch receives revelations about future events and judgments. Fourth
Hmm.
heaven. This vast heaven houses the movements of the sun and the moon. Enoch sees angelic beings controlling their celestial paths and learns about the cylindrical nature of time. He gains insight into the
Cyclical.
intricate workings of the universe and divine order. So that sounds like the fourth heaven might just be what controls physics. Now,
Mm-hmm.
fifth heaven, Enoch encounters a vast army of angels led by Gregory, the fallen angels who fathered the Nephilim, and he witnessed their remorse and longing for forgiveness, offering a glimpse into the complexities of angelic beings and their struggle against sin. Interesting as well. 6, 7, Enoch sees celestial creatures like phoenixes and I'm gonna try and pronounce this. Chakaduri? I never even heard of that.
Yeah, I
Symbolizing
don't know. I don't know what
renewal
that was.
and transformation, some of you like unicorns and stuff. He meets more angelic
Mhm.
hosts, each with specific roles and functions within a divine hierarchy. This experience expands his understanding of the diverse range of beings residing in the heavens. Seventh heaven. Though unable to approach directly, Enoch sees God's throne from afar, radiating intense light and surrounded by archangels. Now, why would God need to be protected? He experiences overwhelming awe and fear, grasping the immense power of the majesty of the divine. So he's afraid of God. This revelation marks the culmination of his journey, granting him a glimpse into the ultimate seat of authority and power. Interesting.
Hmm.
So was Enoch afraid of God?
That's hard to say, man. Like even hearing like that's why like when I've read the Book of Enoch, like it's kind of confusing. You know what I mean?
I bet.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about the seven heavens. Are we talking about different realms in the astral field? Like it's really hard. I think it's personally, I believe it's metaphorical, like
Mm-hmm.
most of this stuff is, but like it's one of those things. Well, what I did mention to you before we got on when it's talking about the firmament that separates the that's one of the things that one of the things that the flat earthers use from this too is like it
Mm-hmm.
says it right there in the Book of Enoch too, the firmament. But again, in my opinion, like this is separating when it's saying the primordial waters, that would be considered space, and we're dealing with the atmosphere of our planet. That's what keeps us in here and keeps us separated from space. Um,
Yes.
Now, space, for hell, for all we know, it could be like water. Who knows? But I ain't never been out in space.
That's the thing. We don't have the access to get out there and see for ourselves. Only what we're told or taught. So how can we know? But I have heard that like a spaceship has to come in at just the right angle, or it could bounce off the atmosphere, making it seem like it's a physical barrier. So who knows? Or maybe it is like an actual veil separating dimensions, and that's just the only way they can interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't. That's beyond my level of understanding, sir.
That's the
Beyond
stuff that
my
keeps me up
level
at
of being
night.
able to explain. Yeah, of course.
Very
Um,
interesting, though.
yeah, so basically, from the beginning of the Book of Enoch, it just talks about the extends the stories of the Watchers and the Nephilim and who the angels were that co-inhabited with humans, their punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it was pretty grand. They're in prison for like 10,000 years. Um,
But I
God
thought it
knows
was
if
eternal.
that's actually over. Or is it eternal? I thought it just said 10,000 years.
Well, I mean, it says it in the Book of Enoch, but everybody biblically says that hell is eternal. Or is that just for
Hmm.
us?
I don't know.
Could even Satan gets out of the pit of fire at what did he at 10,000 years or something? So why do we get eternity and they don't? That just makes it all that
Yeah,
more
I don't know, man.
contradictory.
It's
And
hard to say.
I don't
Of
believe it's
course, there's
eternal.
tons of contradictions. I think that
Well, fear tactic.
we live in hell currently. If there is an example of what hell is, it is here on
Third
earth. And
dimension.
the idea is to wake up to the fact that everything around you controls you. Your impulse, things are controlling your life on a day to day basis that you allow to control you. Anything that doesn't align with your true purpose or whatever that is, the true direction you should be going. Like everybody knows what direction they should be taking their life, and anything outside of that is negative, and negative is what we allow to control us on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I'm not definitely not perfect. I be failing all the time, but
Hell, shoot. All of us do. To be human is to sin. Now, what are some of these prophecies? Do you have any of those on hand with you?
I had it highlighted. So let's see. I had it highlighted in my notes, and then I haven't been able to find my notes, of course, naturally. So apparently, the text foreshadows the coming of a Messiah who will usher in a new era of peace and righteousness. I'm assuming this was talking about Jesus because this was an old book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see, some of the main, back to like the main sections. They have the parables section. This section offers apocalyptic visions of the future, predicting judgment and the coming of the Messiah, which I just said. It contains vivid descriptions of heaven and hell and emphasizes the importance of righteousness. I believe that's what you were just describing with the sections of heaven. Yep. Astronomical books. So this is what I was saying last week, is this section delves into celestial matters, describing the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. It also offers insights into Enoch's journey through the heavens and encounters with angels. In the Sumerian stories, they say that Enoch was actually taken up on a spaceship and shown the heavens.
So it wasn't so much a dream; it actually happened.
Right. So it's hard for me to say what is true and what's false because of how much crap I've read. Like I have no idea, like honestly, what the truth is. You could take this as metaphorical facts. You can take, like, are the Sumerian tablets right? Because they predate all of this by thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Or is this just more smoke? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Like
But in the
it's
original
weird.
Sumerian times,
Mm-hmm.
was that?
I was gonna say it's interesting that they mentioned that in heaven exists hell. So it's like even though it's referred to as heaven, hell is there too. So maybe heaven is an overall term for just that reality.
Could be. Let me see
Who
what
knows?
the one of the reasons I picked up like the Book of Enoch altogether was because of a guy named Billy Carson. He references it in the compendium of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and they talk about different prophecies that were listed there. And one of them is about like a great war, and I do believe it was talking about World War II or World War One, whatever the war to end all wars one. I think that was World War One, but
Mm-hmm. But it didn't work.
Yeah, in the book of the Emerald Tablets one, it talks about when man learns to, fly on machines. Something about it's talking about planes. Anyway, when man learns to fly again, there will be a war to end all wars. And apparently, they talk about that in this one too. But Lord
Mm.
knows I couldn't find it. Somebody took my book. It's a
You know,
conspiracy against me. I know it.
probably. This is what do they call it? Murphy's Law. And for all of those viewing right now, if you want to comment in the chat here or ask any questions or give us some feedback of your own, feel free.
What do you think about the Book of Enoch? If you've ever read it,
Yeah. If you have it, check it out.
let me get this right here. You can actually find it on archive.org if you want to read it too. A lot of people don't know about that. There appears to be different versions of it though. Yep.
Just like the Bible, there's so many versions of it. Like, which one's the one to read?
Yeah, that's the one I had printed out was the one that was translated from the Ethiopian version. It appears to be this same one.
Mm-hmm.
Blessing and Enoch, fallen angels, taken by angels. Let's see what this one. Angels took me and brought me to a place which those that were like flaming fire, they wished they appeared as men. So saying people were able to shape, the angels were able to shapeshift. I don't know.
I mean, that would make sense too, because you've heard stories that people encounter strangers just randomly, and for whatever reason, they were just there 1 second and gone the next, and they just assumed they were angels.
Right.
Anybody ever encounter an angel before? Even if you didn't see it happen, let us know. Either here in the chat or in the comments below.
I'm trying to find this thing right here. Don't judge me.
No judgment here. I do find the whole thing about the Watchers interesting, though. I do want to do more research on that, specifically, maybe for another video.
David Wilcock talks a whole lot about like who he thinks that the Watchers are. Like, it's hard to really say, like, honestly, what that is. Like, he was saying that the Greys are Watchers, and they're like robotic machines designed to keep tabs on us by God knows who. But
that actually kind of fits, because you think the Watchers impregnated women. What do the Greys do? They artificially impregnate
according to people, yeah, they have impregnated people, but
So maybe it does all kind of
Here's this
tie
one.
together somehow. Aliens, they
The
say that aliens are
words.
demons. Demons are aliens. There's all kind of different comparisons out there.
Oh yeah, there it is. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the days of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And Enoch, a righteous man whose eyes were opened by God, took up his parable and said, I saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one which is for to come. I'm assuming maybe talking about our generation, but
Seems
at
like
least
it.
that's where a lot of people believe that we're talking or reading this book. Concerning the elect, I said, I took up my parable concerning them. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and will appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and they shall melt like wax before the flames. It's nuts. And the
Heaven
earth
of
shall wholly
heavens.
rent. Right.
Interesting.
Hmm.
It's like Selena's got a question about what book you're missing.
What's that?
Like your friend Selena's asking what book you're missing.
I'm missing my copy that I had printed out of this book. I was researching different prophecies from this book and comparing them, and I had it all highlighted, and I am missing it totally. It's the Book of Enoch. I printed it out on computer paper and like at work when I wasn't supposed to, a long time ago, and had it all hole punched, and now it's all gone.
Hmm.
I guess I shouldn't have waited till 45 minutes before this to look for it. You know what I mean? Maybe then judgment wouldn't be happening to me right now, but it is what it is.
We could do a follow-up episode on this another time too.
It's cryptic, man. Anybody, again, and maybe that's why they took it out because it's so freaking hard to understand. But like, I don't know.
Now, what other
I like
books were
that.
taken out of the Bible besides the Book of Enoch? I know there's a few that were taken out. Wasn't the
I
Book
don't
of
have the
Mary
full list in
one?
front of me. Apparently, the Book of Mary, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. I don't know,
Need to check into that.
that's a controversial one, but
They confiscated it from me.
because you did it at work. Yeah, okay. Anyway, judging. It was at my old job, not this one. Like this
Oh,
was
okay.
like 2016, man, 2017.
Sadly, I was still with the current job back then too.
Yeah, I've read the audiobook. I mean, listened to the audiobook twice now, trying to get more out of it. And again, it's fascinating to talk about. It's fascinating to think about, but really hard to understand. Just like it's like reading the Book of Revelations. That's the best way I could describe it. You know how like the rest of the Bible you can somewhat get. You get to the Book of Revelations and you're like, what in the Jesus are we talking about right now? Literally, like,
I do find it
but
interesting that Book of the Revelations. It fascinates me.
mm-hmm. It's fascinating to me too. But to me, it's like if I were to sit here and smoke a big old rip of acid, or I'm not acid, but DMT, and then try to write down what I'm seeing, that's what that sounds like to me. Because
Yeah,
you did it at work. This motherfucker. I'll remember that.
it's very possible. You interpret things differently on different states of consciousness. You never know. Uh, so, in hindsight, the Book of Enoch refers to a guy who was taken up to heaven, shown to different heavens, foresaw apocalyptic visions, and that's about the gist of it, I guess.
I
Besides
mean,
the
pretty
whole
much
watchers.
like it really goes into depth on the movements of the sun and the moon and like how they go out in and out of different gates. Like when he says he was taken to that level of heaven and he's observing it, but again, it's really hard to explain. And again, a lot of the flat earthers appear to use that as like, yeah, it's moving around in this firmament, which God, maybe it is, who knows, but I don't think so. Um, that's basically what it goes down to. And it explains, again, who the Nephilim were. So Do you believe that the Nephilim were like 150 feet tall giants, or are we dealing with?
I
You think
mean,
that's exaggerated?
it's got to be exaggerated because how could the female give birth to something? Even as
Exactly.
a baby, it would be huge. It would destroy their body. Unless they were born normal and then all of a sudden had a
Good
burst or
Lord.
growth spurt.
I know when I read that text, I'm like, man, they just did they just kill them coming out of them or what? Like, my God,
They
I
would
don't
have
know why
to.
I'm talking about this, but
Or maybe that's another
I don't know.
metaphor.
I personally believe that we're dealing with, like we've talked about the Sumerian stories a bunch, and we've talked about what it was according to them is it was the Nephilim were to those from heaven to earth came. Those who from heaven to earth came. Who said the woman lived?
It's a good question.
Oh, that's a damn good point.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they died. Because apparently, even back in the old days, just in normal childbirth, women were high risk of passing away. Imagine giving birth to something that's
That's a good
unusually
point.
large.
That's a good point, dude. I didn't really think about it like that.
Who
As
knows?
someone who gave birth, I don't believe it. Those were DNA freaks.
Could be. Who says it was
Yep.
your normal pregnancy? Maybe it was like with the aliens, they impregnate you, take the baby out before it's born, and then raise it artificially. Maybe they did the same with those Nephilim babies. As I finish my coffee.
Christ brings a sword. This is my buddy.
Welcome.
They had no inhibitor sizes. We can just grow to giant sizes. But I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess like a lot of people who grow to big sizes can be born as babies. That's true. All right, I'm
That's
seeing you
true.
out here.
There are people 8 feet tall out there. I mean, that's just. But how big would a Nephilim be? We're talking 20 feet, or we don't have an exact measurement.
I don't know, dude. Like the descriptor it gives in the Bible is, or the Bible or the Book of Enoch. Like one is cubits, which I haven't been able to get a solid read on, no matter where I look. Some people are saying Enoch says 5,000 cubits. Like, what is that in like
Says it's a
regular people
mile.
terms?
It says a mile high. Can you
Like a
imagine?
mile high? Holy crap!
You wouldn't even be able to see the top of it. Let me check Bard real quick here. How tall were the? If I could even spell it.
I mean, my man, dealing with a mile high, like.
I mean,
That seems like it could be the case. I guess like that's what it says.
All right, so limited information, interpretations here showing 300 cubics, which is about 450 feet, which is still, wow. I mean, how tall was Goliath? He wasn't that big in comparison to David. He was like, what, 20 feet, if that tall?
They lived 500 years.
I think everybody back then
Dude,
lived
I
to be,
mean, a lot of ancient cultures have like legends of them hunting down giants and giants living in caves. I mean, I don't know.
up in the mountains. Yeah, why are they hiding? They could easily take us out.
12 to 15 feet. I like this guy.
That sounds reasonable, yeah. Because he was taken out with a slingshot and a stone, right?
We get a sharp enough stone, man. You gonna take his ass out? Let's see what my buddy says. Most books are in the Catholic Bible.
I mean, there's so many different variations. You have Baptists, Catholics, and
Then they warred against each other. They lived 500 years. Sounds about right to me.
the giants warred against each other. Is that what he's talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a hell of a fight to watch. 2 mile high giants going at it. Jesus.
Well, man, damn, 30 minutes went by quick, dude.
It did. It definitely did. Yeah, we pretty much discussed all we wanted to for the most part. As you know, we're doing.
I recommend reading it.
Now.
You can again look up the. They have it on archive.org. I don't know if I can put I won't let me comment, but I can send it to you, and you can put the link in the chat if you want.
We can also put it in the description and in the Facebook page and all that too.
Right.
I should let you put it in chat. Let me see. Archive.org. See if it goes in there.
Like it glitches out and doesn't let me comment on stuff sometimes on here. I don't know, man. It's commenting as me though, and you. Okay, you're. I see
Because they're
what's
both
going on.
linked.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my friend.
All right,
I'm gonna
guys. We're
sign
gonna
off
wrap
here
up.
so I can go keep these kids from killing each other.
All right. Well, thanks for being on. We'll catch you next week.
Take it easy.
All right. So we're wrapping up tonight. Mr. JB333 has his life to deal with. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We don't have next week's topic yet. We will put it in Facebook once we come up with the topic and put a link in there for you so you can tune in next week as well. If you're watching this here, thanks for joining us live. If you're watching this later in a replay on YouTube, make sure you put a like and a comment. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so for both me and my buddy if you're watching it over on his channel, Reflections. And we'll call it the night. We'll catch you guys next time. Again, thanks for watching.